Well, well, well. Who here is surprised that the man who I endearingly call Bernie the Weak Boy Sanders, who's surprised that he sold out to Hillary the corporate whore Clinton? Clinton and Sanders unite for the war on Trump. This little weak-ass boy who claims he's Mr. Principled and he's fighting against the oppression. But my theory is that he's just a career politician who, if it wasn't for politics, he'd at best only amount to a custodian at Burger King. This man is simply pushing his self-interest forward like he has his whole life, while claiming he's for the poor and fighting for the oppressed. And by the way, even though I might like some of the things he's done over the past, like, his stance against Monsanto and stuff like that, overall, he's a disingenuous, pseudo-altruistic collectivist, and Bernie supporters are angry. Here's one Bernie supporter: Clinton and Sanders equals the difference between genuine and fake. A sad day for many of us. Our revolution continues. And here's a picture of Bernie the Weak Boy Sanders with a quote from him. I would rather see the first honest president than the first female president. Bigger milestone. Total failure. And guess what, buddy boy? Clinton and Sanders is the difference between genuine and fake? Really? He sold out to the fake whore. So doesn't that make him fake too? It does. Who could really be surprised? We're talking about Bernie the Weak Boy Sanders. This is the man who, as you can see right here, said at a debate in front of millions of people, quote, "White people don't know what it's like to be poor. They don't know what it's like to live in the ghetto."
When you're white, you don't know what it's like to be living in a ghetto. You don't know what it's like to be poor. You don't know what it's like to be hassled when you walk down the street.
But who is really surprised? This is Bernie the Weak Boy Sanders. He's the guy who, when he was attempting to give a speech, mind you, Bernie Sanders, a guy who marched with Martin Luther King, a guy who's been at the civil rights movement his entire life, who compromised so much already for black people. When he was trying to give a speech to obese female black members of the Black Lives Matter, black supremacist, racist cult, well, let the images speak for themselves.
If you do not listen to her, your event will be shut down right now.
I thought that was disgusting. The microphone, they just took the whole place over. That will never happen with me. I don't know if I'll do the fighting myself or if other people will, but that was a disgrace.
Who is surprised that such a weak boy would just totally sell out? Who is surprised? Really, is anybody surprised? In fact, let's take one more look at this, because it really is a case study in the pure weakness that defines Bernie Sanders. Because you know what? Bernie Sanders will compromise on anything for some nice black votes. Let's play this again.
Ask him.
Notice he said, ask him. He's trying to relegate the responsibility of the situation onto anyone but himself, the weak boy.
If you do not listen to her, your event will be shut down right now.
Look at him. He turns around. He's trying to talk to the guy who organized the event, relegating responsibility of the situation to someone else, weak boy. And then he walks off, eagerly walks off, and then he literally stands on stage in the corner like a butthurt little boy for the next 15 minutes. Who is surprised that this weak boy is the one who decided to sell out and endorse Hillary, the corporate whore, Clinton? I sure as fuck am not surprised, and honestly, I am so glad that his weak boy supporters have to see their little weak boy idol sell out to Hillary, the Wall Street whore Clinton. And hey, we all know. You've seen the polls. You've seen the statistics. Now a huge number of Bernie supporters are going to move on over to the Trump train. Bernie supporters still know that Trump can be more trusted than Hillary the corporate whore Clinton. And so, speaking of black privilege and the historical fact that African kings engaged in the slave trade by selling other black people, I want to play a clip for you guys from the book Black Rednecks and White Liberals, because there's a chapter in this book that obliterates this idea that white people are the evil slave masters and they're the only race on the planet who should feel guilty of slavery. I'm going to play a quick preview from that.
Incredibly lopsided coverage of slavery in the United States or in the Western Hemisphere as compared to the meager writings on the even larger number of Africans enslaved in the Islamic countries of the Middle East and North Africa, not to mention the vast numbers of Europeans also enslaved in centuries past in the Islamic world and within Europe itself. At least 1 million Europeans were enslaved by North African pirates alone from 1500.
So again, guys, that's just a preview from the book Black Rednecks and White Liberals. There's so much you need to learn. And honestly, in the age of Black Lives Matter, where these maniac black racists are trying to blame you, the white man, for things you didn't do, you have to arm yourself with knowledge. You have to arm yourself in self-defense with ideas. Again, I'll put the link to this book in the description below. And by the way, you could actually get this audiobook. It's also available in paperback, but if you're an audiobook fan like I am, you can get an audiobook too. You can get the audiobook for free when you sign up for Audible. They give you 1 free audiobook. Again, I'll put the link to the book in the description below.